Hello, everyone. I'm not gonna lie. Today, I feel depressed and lonely. It's not been a very good day, and really, this was not brought about by anything in particular. Just kind of everything, and this happens to everybody. Depression and loneliness are fairly common amongst the human race, let alone for schizophrenics and people with major depressive disorder and the like, or addicts. But it's it's a state in which it's hard to analyze it while you're experiencing it, but I'm going to attempt to do so and explain some points on loneliness and depression so that maybe somebody out there will be more encouraged to properly understand the situation and know that they're not alone. So I'd like to go over a few points now. And to do that, I'm going to use my dry erase board, which I've obviously pre-written with these points. But, okay, so basically what we're talking about is loneliness and depression. And the first thing I like to go over is when sad, we see everything through sadness. Now, when any of us are sad, it basically becomes like a filter. It becomes a complete state of being to the point where our perceptions are altered. Our views of things are seen through our pessimism of the time. And it's very important to, instead of making any major and terrible decisions when you're depressed, when you're feeling lonely, the two kind of go together a lot of the time, then it's best to do your best to wait to make decisions later on, because a lot of decisions that depressed and lonely people make, even if they're not suicide, can really drive people away and basically hurt you in your relationships and in your success for times to come. So just try to give it some time and try to think clearly beyond that filter. Now, the next point I'll go over for depression is we easily get discouraged. Whatever progress you make in the world when we're depressed, we get easily discouraged. It doesn't feel like enough. And if we fail, then it really just brings us down. It completely destroys whatever realistic progress we've made, whatever realistic perception of our path, whether it be career, personal, or bigger goals. It completely gets skewed. So any failures in these areas, they become so much bigger than they truly are. Now, another thing I'd like to mention about loneliness is loneliness is a ghost that doesn't know it's dead. Now, loneliness, it never leads anywhere. Now, we can try to become unlonely, but loneliness in and of itself, the thoughts that we have while we're lonely, and its existence is not an existence in and of itself. It's a sapping. It's a decrease of reality. Now, a lot of the time, people are truly lonely. A lot of the time, when there's not enough people in our lives, or even one or two people in our lives, the loneliness is basically true for the average understanding of reality. But it contains in and of itself a nature that perpetuates itself. Loneliness, honestly, is kind of like a ghost. Like I said, it wants to keep on living. It wants to sustain the reality that it's created in our minds. We want the analysis of loneliness, our loneliness that we've diagnosed, to be true, because it's easier to fully grasp something, even if it's bad, than to think that, okay, maybe we're wrong. So when I say it's a ghost that doesn't know it's dead, basically my point is that it doesn't lead anywhere, but we think that the thoughts are a true grasp of reality. But if we did have a true grasp of reality when we're lonely, then we would head away from it, and it wouldn't be sustained for very long. Okay, another point about loneliness I want to make is loneliness starves the spirit by sapping it through constant negative thinking. Just like with depression, when you're lonely, our understanding of loneliness and depression is much easier, even if it's painful, because we don't want to think that, okay, there's something we can do, and there's always something that we can do. And the constant self-talk we have when we're depressed and lonely a lot of the time really sustains those states of being and brings us further down. Self-talk is very important, and we're not always conscious of it, even though it sounds funny to think that we don't always know what we're telling ourselves. But self-talk is very subtle. It works in a mind that is used to it. It works in a mind where it's existed before, and we kind of get a habitual, we kind of fall into a habit of negative self-talk when we're observing reality through the filter of sadness, whatever the cause of that sadness might be, even if it's chemical or because we have a disorder. The self-talk is influenced, and that's probably the first or second biggest factor that keeps us lonely, that keeps us depressed, before maybe even before a lot of the chemical nature, even if you have a disorder, because I do have major depressive disorder, so I do have some perspective on this. A lot of the time when I'm depressed, when I'm very depressed, then the self-talk is what brings me down even further. And instead of focusing on something that'll bring me out of it, even if it's part of a disorder, if it's a chemical imbalance, if I contain negative thoughts about my situation and keep on repeating them, then it does have an effect that becomes extraordinarily more negative than the original state of being. And I'd just like to say, no matter if you're not depressed, if you're not chemically or psychologically experiencing a disorder, you can still experience depression and loneliness, obviously. If you want to call it sadness instead of depression. But that's a minor difference as far as I'm concerned. But you're not alone, and that every single human being experiences these things, and we have to work past them. And the best way to work past them is to reach out to other people, try to talk to other people, try to understand your situation and understand it in the right perspective. And perspective, a lot of the time, is a choice, even if it's a hard choice, even if it's a choice that it's hard to make just because we're so depressed or so lonely. But taking a new perspective that seeks goals instead of wallowing in our pain is the best option. And always reach out to other people when you're feeling depressed. Always try to talk to other people, and if you can't, try to change your self-talk, and try to, like I said, be goal-oriented, because there's always a hope. There's always a possibility for freedom from any situation, no matter how dire it is. So keep your heads up, people. I want to thank you for watching this video. I hope that it helped you, and I hope that if you're depressed or lonely or sad in any way, that you'll reach out to other people and try to develop a community of people who can help you with it, and start to develop some positive perspectives when it comes to self-talk, because you have to tell yourself, okay, maybe I'm not the smartest, maybe I don't have a plan, but I can proceed in little tiny goals, and the tiny goals mount up. So just one little step at a time, out of the pain that you're feeling, out of whatever situation you're in. Just take it with baby steps, because big steps, planning out big steps and accepting those as the only ones we can make is what hurts us a lot of the time in our overall growth. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope you all have a great day.